Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Winona County Historical Society. So glad you guys are here on this smoky, steamy night to join us for another event of community storytelling with our community partner, Sandbar Storytelling Festival. I'm Leanna Gary. I am on the staff here at Winona County Historical Society, and I'll be your facility host tonight. So if you have any questions about the facility or any directions, just hunt me down or wave me down and I can help you out. Few housekeeping items. Restrooms are to the back of the hall here. There's also more in the lobby if you should need them. There's lots of Blado's donuts, so please take as many as you want on your way out and take one to go perhaps. And I think that's all I have for you tonight, but so glad again to have Sandbar in the house and our wonderful guest speaker. So I'm going to hand it over to Jerome to tell you a little bit about that.
Hello, hello, hello. Hello. And welcome. I'm Jerome Christensen. I'm on the board of directors for Sandbar Storytelling Festival. They seem to think that I've told a tale or two, so I'm well suited. Glad to have you here on a hot and rainy, and I don't know what is going to happen before we get out of here weather-wise night. But good to have you here. Again, there's lots of Blado's donuts back there, and I expect everyone to leave here at least 1.5 pounds heavier than when you came in. Otherwise, I'm going to have to eat them all. On second thought, maybe you don't have to teach. Anyway, I'm glad to welcome you for another talk on business and business history in Winona. Merchants National Bank, and according to my cheat sheet, been here since 1875, which means that it's over 150 years, which means that it's been here twice as long as I have, which is really good to know. Gives it some stability. This is the second of 3 business stories we're having this summer. Coming up on the 13th of August, we'll have Bluff Country Co-op telling their story as they originated as famine foods and now have gotten more sophisticated. Ironically enough, moving into what was once the old National grocery store. So, with that, I'd like to introduce Greg Evans, CEO of Merchants National Bank. Been there since...
Merchants Bank.
Merchants Bank, yes, that's what I said. Bank, yes. Like on the...
It's all good, Mary.
The dry part of a river, yeah, bank. Anyway. He's been there since 1989 when he fled Mason City to start the marketing department, and they must have liked him since he's still there. Moved up the ranks and spent some time out of town. Couldn't resist coming back, and here he is. So I'll let him tell the story beyond this. Greg?
Thank you, Jerome. Is this picking up? Can everybody hear me okay? Yeah. Okay, I'll do my best to talk into the mic because I was told it was a little finicky. Thank you so much for that introduction, Jerome. I've been reading your tales for a long time, and they never grow old. So thank you for everything you've done for this community. I'd also like to thank Taff Roberts, the board of directors for Sandbar Storytelling. This is year 5 of the festival, which is mind-boggling to me. The world spins really fast. And again, this community has such a rich commitment to the arts and festivals, music, theater, storytelling, really important contributor to what is so great about this community. Welcome to all of you. Thank you so much for being here. It truly is a privilege to be asked to share a little bit about the Merchant story. I've got some harsh critics in the group. I've got some family here. I've got some coworkers. I will try to keep this relatively entertaining. I hope you learned some things. Grandson Connor, Zach, and Owen, just try to find one cool thing, okay? And make sure you get those Blao's Donuts on your way out. It's really special to be here in Winona, gathering in the city where Merchant's story began. The history of our community and the Merchant's story have been intertwined for more than 150 years. Neither our story nor the Winona story would be as rich without each other. I'm going to try to share a little bit about Winona's history, quite a bit about Merchant's history, educate a little bit on the industry of banking and the rich growth and expansion that we've experienced during my almost 37 years with the company, and really hopefully represent the strength, the resilience, not just of Merchants, but of this extraordinary community that we have the privilege to live and work in. That's working, great. So, my name is Greg Evans. I've been with Merchants since 1989, and the Director of Human Resources, who was responsible for hiring me, just walked in the room. Lillian Gravis, it's so great to see you, and thank you so much for giving me an opportunity. I grew up in Winona. I am a graduate, 1981 graduate of Winona Senior High School. I left Winona to go to college. I played baseball at Valparaiso University. Growing up, I spent most of my childhood years in the walls of the newsroom at Winona Daily News, where my father worked for the first 2/3 of his professional career. I had writing in my blood. At Valparaiso, I earned degrees in journalism and political science. There is nothing in my DNA that would have suggested a successful career in community banking, but I'm so fortunate that I was given the opportunity to move back to my hometown. I was working for a newspaper in Mason City, Iowa, at the time that Merchants was poised to make its very first acquisition. And the marketing and communications function at the bank was being managed by a committee. The leadership at that time had established a vision for growth and geographic expansion, and they felt it was appropriate at that time to create for the first time an internal marketing and communications position. Winona is a small town, relatively provincial. My father was playing golf one afternoon with Pete Rail, who was the president and CEO of the bank back in the late 80s. He asked my dad if I would have any interest in coming back to Winona to learn the business of banking and start a marketing department for the bank. My dad said, I doubt it, but here's his phone number, and kind of the rest is history. I moved back to Winona in August of 1989, was given tremendous opportunities to learn and grow during my 37 years with the company, and the company invested a great deal in me, and I hope I've returned that investment with my commitment and my pride of what we do at Merchants, and more importantly, how we do it. So that's what brought me back to Winona, and I thought it would be a temporary stop, and it was far more than temporary. So I'll start by talking a little bit about Winona's history. Describe Winona in the late 1800s. It was a growing Mississippi River town. It was a transportation hub because of, obviously, the asset that we have in the form of the Mississippi River, and the continued development of the new phenomenon of the railroad system. And so in its early years, it served as a hub of commerce for fur trading, and then because of the port and the ability to transport agricultural products via the river. There was a lot of wheat grown in the area, and Winona started to grow as the port was an asset that could move agricultural products on the river. And as commerce continued to grow and develop, became a significant center for lumbering, milling, and as the community grew and prospered, obviously there was a great deal of other business and commerce that grew out of Winona's beginning. Merchants was founded in 1875 as Winona's second bank. Winona Savings Bank was actually started in 1874. So today Winona has two community banking organizations that have been going concerns for more than 150 years. The Merchants Bank founders envisioned a bank for the working class. And I'll talk a little bit about that history and how it's woven into our culture. And with great respect for Winona Savings Bank, in 1900, Winona Savings Bank was purchased by the King family, which was connected to Watkins, which obviously has contributed significantly to Winona's history as well. But really, the founding fathers of Merchants Bank envisioned a bank for the working class. It was capitalized by a group of merchants versus a single family or just a couple of capitalists of the day. And our first board of directors is representative of that founding father's philosophy. The first president of the bank was Mark Wilson. He, prior to helping start the bank, had success as a merchant and a salesman. Other board members represented a cross-section of Winona's growing community of commerce. There was an attorney on the board. There was a grocery wholesaler on our board. One of our founding fathers board members was a brewer, a farmer, and a politician. How's that for a combination? The bank's first vice president had previously been a grocer, and the bank's first cashier had been an accountant. The bank was chartered in March 4th of 1875 with $100,000 in assets, and we began operations with its first day of business on July 17th of 1875. So tomorrow we will turn 151 years old. Our first location was at 116 Center Street, and in 1897 the bank location was changed as the bank was growing to a location at 129 East 3rd Street. And again, from day one, being part of Winona's prosperous downtown and the center of commerce that downtown Winona represented, was part of the founding fathers' vision that they helped realize. Our physical presence downtown and the growth of the company really serves as a reflection of our community's growth and changing needs. And as the community grew, so did the confidence in Merchants Bank. In keeping with the commitment to the Winona community, the bank leaders at the time set out to design a new location as a symbol of Midwestern America and the values of Winona's working class. Construction on a new building, which still stands today as an architectural gem and a pillar of our downtown, began construction in 1911 at the corner of Lafayette and 3rd Streets, and the new building opened for business in 1912. Again, downtown Winona was a center of commerce, continued to be that way, and through the 1950s, was a thriving retail center and a vibrant center of social activity and engagement in the community. Our building is a symbol of financial strength and a source of architectural pride. The building was designed in 1911 and 1912 by 3 architects, William Purcell, George Fick, and George Grant Elmsley. The historic building became known for its distinctive prairie school design, stained glass, and sense of warm place. The architects were contemporaries of Louis Sullivan and/or students of Frank Lloyd Wright. And these designers collaborated on several architectural designs for community banks throughout southern Minnesota, including banks in Grand Meadow, Leroy, Hector, Adams, and Mitchell. Note that the stained glass in the building is predominantly features the colors of green and gold. And that was intentional, as the designers wanted to reflect the region, and in the design of the stained glass is an interpretation of an ear of corn to honor the agriculture of the area and as a critical component of Winona as a growing center of commerce back in that day. As I mentioned, the building today remains a sense of architectural pride and also serves as a very functional and warm banking center for our customers in the community. The stained glass in the building are our original glass walls. They came with the original construction back in 1912, and those glass walls were produced by Mosaics Art Glass of Minneapolis. The mural in the building is an original that was created by Albert Fleury. The scene of the mural is that of West Burns Valley, which lies behind Winona's geographic landmark, Sugarloaf. As I understand it, the mural was probably created in different pieces, probably in the urban center, in an urban center on the East Coast, most likely New York, and it was transported by rail for placement in the original structure back in 1912. The original structure did house a second mural, which would have been on the main cube of our lobby. It would have been on the east wall, and it was unfortunately not able to be repaired and restored when the bank leadership group back in the late 1960s made a significant commitment to restoring the building to some of its original design elements. The round vault that is still displayed in our lobby is the original vault that was moved into the facility at the time the bank was opened in 1912. It held as much as $100,000 in currency. It weighs approximately 15 tons and sits in the bank lobby with the help of special supports, which had to be constructed in the basement of the bank in order for it to be stable and supported as the vault in the bank lobby. As Winona grew, prospered, so did the bank. And over the period of 3 to 4 decades, from the 1920s through the 1950s, the original design was altered many times to accommodate additional employees, increased customer flow, and in the mid-60s, the bank's leadership team and board of directors started to seriously contemplate the prospects for erecting a new, more modern banking facility on the corner of 3rd and Lafayette. And in 1969, the board actually announced its intent to destroy the original building and begin construction on the new facility. Bank President Gordy Espy took a beating, both locally, regionally, and even more pronounced nationally, from architectural students, historic preservationists, and got the attention of bank leaders at the time. And the public outcry that was experienced, and Lil, I don't know if you were at the bank at that time or not, but it triggered a strategic reversal of course, and resulted in an intense and extensive restoration process to bring altered elements in the bank lobby back to their original design. And the bank staff went to painstaking lengths to source brick that matched the original brick and restoration of the lamp posts, which you will see today in our bank lobby, because a lot of that had been significantly changed over the years. I particularly want you to note that hairdo on Gordy Espy, because it kind of looks like that hairdo that the marketing team threw on that opening slide with my introduction back in 1989. Gordy was an extraordinary community banker, flamboyant. When he walked in a room, he could spend 5 minutes and everybody in that room knew he'd been there. And he cared a great deal about our customers and this community. And we've had tremendous leaders throughout our history at Merchants. And I had the privilege when I started with Merchants to be at the very tail end of Gordy's tenure as a leader of significant influence for Merchants Bank and this community. So the restoration project took shape, and over a period of 3 to 4 years, leadership was focused on bringing the original Merchants Bank lobby back to original form, all in anticipation and preparation for the bank's 100th anniversary in 1875. This letter was received from the American Institute of Architects at that time. We congratulate the bank for its decision not only to incorporate the original Purcell, Fick, and Elmsley design structure with the new construction, but to restore whatever possible many of the original features. The Merchants National Bank shall continue to be a significant part of the nation's architectural heritage. That investment and all that hard work and that community celebration in 1975 also resulted in the bank's distinction in being placed on the National Register of Historic Places. And that focus on progress and preservation remains present for those of us who carry forward the legacy that our forefathers created with the Merchants Bank. We continue to grow. We've expanded our original building many, many times. And as we've done that, we've always remained committed to the Prairie School of Architecture Design, the rich warmth of the original building. And even when we needed extra space, significantly extra space to accommodate a significantly growing workforce, in the early 2000s, and we made the decision to purchase the buildings on the balance of the block which we occupy today. We could have simply taken down those buildings which were in disrepair, paved the corner to accommodate parking for our employees, but we made a significant investment in making sure that there was a reflection of our history, and that we designed the border of the parking lot consistent with Prairie School design elements and as a rich tribute to not just our history, but to that of the prosperous Winona community. When I joined Merchants in 1989, as I said, we were just poised to make our first acquisition. I joined Merchants at the time we had approximately 180 million in assets. And 1979 became the first year of our growth when we expanded into the community of Goodview with our first remote branch. We started an equipment finance company in 1988, which is based in Edina. Today we originate equipment finance transactions in all 48 of the lower continental United States. As mentioned, our first acquisition in 1989 was the First National Bank in St. Charles. It was a bank that would have failed and had been seized by the FDIC, and Merchants became the owner of that franchise. St. Charles and our team in St. Charles contribute significantly to our prosperity and success today. In 1990, we acquired the La Crescent State Bank. We acquired the Sprague National Bank in Caledonia in 1993. In 1999, we expanded here in the Winona community again with the development of our Lakeside branch at the corner of Mankato and Sarnia. And on the next slide, you'll see an image of a special newspaper section that was published in conjunction with the opening of the Lakeside office. And the Lakeside office really takes Merchants back to its neighborhood roots. Our customer base in the early days was largely based on the loyalty of migrant populations, most notably German and Polish immigrants, many of whom made their homesteads in the east end of town. And so it was very rewarding and fulfilling to honor those migrant populations and communities, and we incorporated a lot of that history into the grand opening of our Lakeside office. I met my wife at Merchants Bank. My wife Terry is here tonight. She worked for Merchants for 40 years, and she became the first branch manager of the Lakeside office back in 1999. And then in the year 2000, we acquired the Hampton Bank, which brought us into the communities of Apple Valley, Cottage Grove, Hastings, and Hampton. Expansion continued with the opening of a branch in Unalaska in 2003. We opened a branch in the Twin Cities suburban community of Lakeville in 2005. We acquired the First National Bank in Cannon Falls and Red Wing in 2007. And that's when I was given the opportunity to transition from my role as a leader of marketing, brand development, and a contributor to strategic thought leadership for the company. When we acquired into Cannon Falls and Red Wing, I was given the opportunity to relocate, provide leadership for those markets, integrate community banking the way we know it, to respect the community presence and the community commitment that the family that owned the bank in Cannon Falls and Red Wing had demonstrated for years. And that was my shift from the marketing role working into the business. So I served as a regional president for Merchants in Cannon Falls and Red Wing from 2007 to 2014. It was the first time my wife ever lived outside of Winona. Thank you for going with me, Terry. Thank you, son Michael, for giving us the opportunity when you were a young man and we were empty nesters to relocate to Cannon Falls. It was one of the best moves we ever made. We loved it there. I learned a lot, and it positioned me for the opportunity to come back to Merchants to lead the flagship Winona market in 2014 and serve as Chief Banking Officer. And then I became the President and CEO of the company in 2017. We acquired a Main Street Bank in Cottage Grove in 2009, Central Bank branch in Spring Grove in 2010, Central Bank branch in Rosemont in 2011. In 2013, we acquired Associated Bank locations in Rushford and Lanesboro. In 2014, we acquired the Alliance Bank location in Eau Claire. And our most recent acquisition, and the only acquisition that's been facilitated since I've been the CEO, was the acquisition of the First National Bank of Northfield in 2019. That was a really significant acquisition because the brand of that bank and the brand of the Northfield community were directly linked because the First National Bank of Northfield was the bank that defeated Jesse James. And so the directors and community owners of that bank were extremely deliberate and intentional about who the buyer of that bank would be, a buyer that would steward and respect the bank's history and contributions to that community, and we were favored with that opportunity, which has been a true privilege. During that journey, and for most of that journey, I was leading brand development for Merchants as part of my marketing role. And the Merchants brand and our logo for many years was this big block M that had represented the Merchants Bank logo for decades. And for decades, the bank was principally recognized as the bank that service built and positioned as a part of your life since 1875. When we were acquiring banks in the 1990s, we did so by retaining the independent charters of those banks and by allowing the brand identity of those acquired banks to remain as a commitment to our community leadership and community stewardship philosophy. As we grew and as we tried to incorporate several brands and market locations under our holding company umbrella, we became aware that our customers were not being afforded the convenience that they could be by easily recognizing that we were all part of the Merchants family. And so probably the most strategic undertaking that I led in my marketing role was the brand transformation, the change of the brand identity of all of those independently chartered banks. We converted Sprague National Bank to Merchants. We converted our bank location in La Crescent to Merchants, and we brought everybody under the Merchants flag and the Merchants umbrella, and it was time for a new modern logo to represent the strength and flexibility that Merchants represents in all of our communities. So in 2000 is when we went from the Block M to our Rope M logo. And the decision to rebrand, as I mentioned, was really to afford our customers the visibility of the convenience that the broader network now afforded people who were traveling between communities throughout this region. And so thus was born the story of the Rope and the creation of a modern, forward-looking logo to convey a message of a strong organization with an eye on the future. The Rope M logo implies strength and flexibility for a company that was clearly built to stand the test of time. The three strands in the Rope M we've come to interpret in a number of different ways that we feel are representative of our culture, our commitment to our communities. Those strands represent volunteers, communities, relationships, our stakeholders in the form of employees, customers, and shareholders, the local, regional, and community stewardship aspect of our brand, and the fact that at the end of the day, we have to deliver relevant solutions, extraordinary service to our customers, all of which drives the performance that we need to continue to earn our independence and drive long-term relevance. A rope is an amazing tool. Its strength allows one to lift heavy loads, span great distances, and tow precious cargo. Yet it is flexible enough to secure valuable packages with a simple knot. This tremendous strength and flexibility is made possible by the thousands of...
Your mic is out, so you might want to speak a little louder.
No, it's
No
not.
mic.
No mic. Okay.
There you go, see?
I'll talk loud. So the tremendous strength and flexibility is made possible by the thousands of individual strands bound together for one purpose. A rope could teach us a lot about life. And it's not unintentional that the rope as a symbol of our brand is linked back to Winona's early days. Think of how valuable that rope was to those early industries. Transportation, towing, cargo, it all is interconnected. We feel a deep intersection with this community, and I think we've contributed to the fabric and to the economic vitality of this community in significant ways. Again, now I'm missing on this one. There we go. So again, we feel like we've been fulfilling hopes and dreams for our customers and serving as a leader in our communities for all of our 150 years. As acknowledged, last summer we celebrated with all of our stakeholders celebrations in each and every one of our communities, our 150th anniversary. It was a community celebration, it was a stakeholder celebration, it wasn't a Merchants Bank celebration, and as I mentioned, tomorrow we will turn 151. A couple of photos here. Last year, these were some of the celebratory events we had here in Winona. We had a special reception for shareholders, directors, clients. We had a public open house. At the public open house, we had a locksmith that helped us trigger the combination of the historic vault. When I was in marketing, back in, I gotta do my math here, in the year 2000 when we celebrated our 125th anniversary, we actually placed a time capsule in the body of the vault. And then nobody could find the combination. So last year we had Tom's Lock on site for our public open house and helped us get the vault open, take out the pieces that had been put in the form of a time capsule, and we added elements to the time capsule in memory of our 150th anniversary with the hope that we make it 175 and somebody will remember where the combination is. Haley, will you still be working there then?
I saved it in many places.
That a girl, good job. And then this just represents the community celebrations. Community celebration in Hastings is represented here. Hastings, Rushford, Lanesboro, Onalaska. Again, we did public activities in every single one of our 22 communities as we celebrated our 150th year. As we were preparing for the celebration last year, I did some homework to try to fully understand the significance of a business that's been a going concern for 150 years. I shared this message with our employee team at the time. I continue to reference this message to our employee team and when we have new employee orientation, because this is a pretty big deal. And what I learned is that there are approximately 34 million businesses operating in the United States today. Less than 1,000 of those businesses have been around for 100 years. And the estimate is that there are only 300 to 400 of us that have a rich history of 150 years. So the significance is not lost on me. I don't think it's lost on any of my teammates. And again, it's really a tribute to, again, the spirit of our founding fathers and the stewardship of their vision and their commitment to community leadership that has been a critical part of the Merchants brand for every one of our years. And I don't think it's insignificant either that two of those 300 to 400 businesses are community banks here in Winona. And that speaks volumes about the entrepreneurial spirit, pride, commitment, and rich history and wealth that we enjoy in Winona. Pretty significant milestones, both for merchants and for W&B Financial. I also want to suggest that 151 years represents staying power, and if you think about over 15 decades, all of the economic cycles that bank officers, bankers, and bank leaders have had to withstand over that period of time. Just a couple of really tough economic cycles. During the Great Depression in 1933, President Franklin Roosevelt declared a national bank holiday, which lasted 15 days. Merchants was the first bank in Winona to reopen, and there was enough confidence in the Merchants Bank that we accepted 17 deposits that first day that we reopened back in 1933. During the financial crisis, the great financial crisis of 2008-2009, the government stepped in, and more than 700 banks, mostly smaller community and regional banks, took advantage of the federal government's Troubled Asset Relief Program, which injected capital to shore up the banking system. Merchants Bank didn't accept a dime of TARP, was never out of the market for new loan activity, and as other banks in the region retrenched and dealt with troubled loans and erosion of capital, we remained strong and growing throughout the 4 to 5 years that represented that economic cycle. And for nearly 100 years, Merchants has never missed or reduced a semi-annual dividend payment to our community shareholders. As I researched the survivorship of those 300 to 400 businesses, these were the common characteristics that were identified for those with staying power. Strong mission, core values, and culture. And for us at Merchants, it starts with significant commitment to all of our stakeholders. Customers, employees, communities, and shareholders in that order. Survivors have unique core strengths and differentiation. That's not very easy in banking. This republic was founded with an economic model of capitalism, and despite the flaws with capitalism, it has served this country in making sure that the freedoms that we enjoy and the civility and the strength makes the United States the richest country in the history of the world. And community banks have played the most vital role in that economic engine by being the source of capital that allows customers, communities to realize their financial hopes and dreams. We all do the same thing: deposits, loans, some ancillary financial services. So for two banks in Winona to stand strong when it's a really commoditized industry that's been consolidating rapidly, and I'll speak to that here shortly, pretty remarkable that we've been able to do that with service and really that brand commitment to community leadership and stewardship. Other attributes: ability to adapt, open to change, close, loyal relationships with customers and business partners, long-term employee relationships. We have 51 of our employees. We have approximately 420 employees at Merchants. 51 of them have been with the company for more than 20 years. We've had a lot of employees who have worked for the company for more than 40. I won't make 40. I'm hitting 37 next month if they'll have me, but I don't know that I'm going to make 40. And then the other attribute is active, meaningful engagement as leaders in their communities. Our sense of purpose and mission, it's why we're here. And that's to be the financial partner of choice, helping our customers and communities realize their hopes and dreams, because we're community members too. Merchants Bank is more than a place to deposit money or obtain a loan. We are a community partner that from day one has been investing in Winona's well-being. Our local reinvestment comes by providing access to capital for families, entrepreneurs, farmers, nonprofit organizations, the businesses in our community. We help finance the hope and dream of a first home, a new business, family farms, the generational transfer for business owners and farmers, and our rich spirit of charitable giving in Winona has been significant, and the volunteer commitment of all of our employees in all of our communities is consistently extraordinary. A couple photos here that just represent our community impact and our volunteerism. Signature projects like 10 Days of Giving here in Winona with Winona Volunteer Services. Community celebrations like Steamboat Days here in Winona, the Winona County Fair, which was taking place last week and had all of our St. Charles teammates on the ground serving as volunteers. Junior achievement, programs for fiscal literacy, home delivered meals, Habitat for Humanity. All of these organizations and many, many, many more are organizations that we support because they do contribute to the strength and fabric of this community in really rich and meaningful ways. So the modern banking landscape, it's one of consolidation. And again, the importance of the community bank and the access to capital that we provide, quite frankly, is the lifeblood in many small outstate communities throughout the state of Minnesota, many of which we have the privilege to serve here in southeastern Minnesota. In the mid-1980s, there were 14,500 banks, different banks, headquartered in the U.S. Today that number has dwindled to 4,000. When I joined Merchants in 1989, there were more than 700 banks, different banks, headquartered in Minnesota. Today there are 260. And the consolidation will continue. Because we are so prideful about our past, it's what motivates us to be so focused on our future. Customer needs during my career with Merchants have changed dramatically, and the acceleration of that change is just ramping up significantly. I could have never imagined in 1989 how people would be doing their banking in 2026. We have embraced the need to continue to adapt and change as our customers' needs have changed because of how prideful we are about our history and our spirit of community leadership. And it's why we continue to invest in our people, the relationships with our customers, building trust and loyalty, and demonstrating the community leadership that allows us to stand apart throughout all of our communities, even as digital needs and digital tools today are the source of how most people are handling most of their routine transactional activity. They still need trusted advisors. They still need a relational approach when they have a need or somebody needs to help them solve a financial problem. And so the combination of adaptation to the high-tech digital solutions combined with the high-tech or the high-touch personalized service that we deliver is the secret sauce that will allow us to continue to be successful in the future. So we are bullish about our future. We're very prideful about our independence. We are of a size and scale today that positions us to be a survivor. As mentioned, when I joined Merchants in 1989, total assets were $180 million. Today, total assets for the company are about $2.9 billion. That makes us, depending on the quarter, the 5th or 6th largest banking organization headquartered in the state of Minnesota. Obviously, there are many larger banks doing business in Winona or in Minnesota. We compete with many of them. A couple of those originated in Minnesota, but moved their headquarters elsewhere for a variety of strategic reasons over the course of the years. But our size and scale gives us optimism about our future. We have great diversification in our business. We have great diversification in our markets and what allows our different communities to be unique and thriving. We have a very rich diversity in our customer base and franchise. We have a very rich diversification in our loan portfolio. In addition to the core fundamentals of banking, taking deposits with a promise to those deposit customers that we will steward those deposits in good faith, make sure that they remain safe, protected, and redeploy those deposits in the form of loans, providing access to capital that allows people to fund their hopes and dreams, start businesses, expand businesses, thrive economically. In addition to that core, we offer wealth management services. We have a trust department. We have retail investment services. We manage approximately $1.2 billion of total assets through our wealth management channels. We have a huge commitment to residential mortgage lending. That hope and dream of home ownership still matters. And we have a huge commitment that not only is present in all of our own branch locations, but we are the conduit to long-term fixed-rate secondary market mortgage loans that are originated by a network of approximately 65 smaller banks throughout a 5-state region who don't do enough mortgage volume to have the expertise or to have the leverage with the secondary market investors, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mae, some of those investors, to do that business on their own. We are their partner. We are the partner with 65 other community banks with very strict, will not compete for your customers' other business arrangements. And so off our balance sheet, we service, because we retain the loan, we retain the servicing component, personalized touch. We retain the servicing component on approximately $2.5 billion of residential mortgage loans originated throughout the 5-state region here in the upper Midwest, North and South Dakota, Iowa, Wisconsin, and then some ancillary community bank branches in some of the peripheral states. That has been a great source of diversification. And then I mentioned our equipment finance division. We're doing equipment finance origination in 48 states. We're serving several different vertical industries, mostly small ticket equipment finance transactions. And so all of that diversification contributes to a financial strength, stability, earnings performance that must be present if we want to continue to earn our independence. And then the one thing that I really want to emphasize with this group is the extraordinary composition of this company's ownership. From our very first day in 1875, this has been a community-owned institution. Quite a bit different from our local community banking competitor, WMB Financial, which has largely been family-owned. The E.L. King Watkins family owned the bank. The family foundation and the family heirs continue to own the controlling interest of the bank. Merchants Bank has been loosely held, and today our ownership group of community leaders is a group of about 750 different families throughout southeastern Minnesota, mostly here in Winona. Ownership in Merchants Bank has been a source of pride for our ownership families. We have several 4th and 5th generation owners of Merchants Financial Group stock. In the year 2000, we added an employee ownership component to our ownership structure with the creation of an employee stock ownership plan. Our ESOP today, in aggregate, all of our plan participants, all of our employees through our employer-funded retirement benefit plan, in aggregate, are the single largest shareholder of the company at 18%. And so that community and employee ownership is a source of inspiration and pride for all of us, and it's something that we don't take for granted. And the loyalty and support of our local community owners over a period of 15 plus decades has been nothing short of amazing. So the history of Merchant's success is absolutely directly linked to the strength and vibrancy of our communities, local leadership, local decision-making, community influence in each and every one of our markets, regional strength with an employee team that is fully committed to a tremendous sense of purpose and commitment to what we do, how we do it. I'm very proud to be the team's leader. I've had a tremendous career with Merchants. It's a special place. No workplace is perfect. Our culture isn't perfect, but our culture is embedded in the right set of core values. And I've got a wonderful team of teammates that continue to carry forward that spirit of pride each and every day. Closing, I just want to thank you. I want to once again thank the board of directors for Sandbar Storytelling for giving us this opportunity. I have a great deal of pride in sharing our story. Our story is one key piece of the unbelievable, extraordinary story that is the Winona community. Thank you so much for your attention. Thanks for your engagement. I'd be happy to take any questions, but I really appreciate the opportunity to share our story with you tonight.
Totally aside, and probably not very important, but in that picture, what is the silver glow in that upper left corner? But ground level, or valley ground level.
I'm not seeing what you're referring to.
Is it the boat?
The boat? Just below the bluffs, beyond the city, there's that silver all the way across there. There's no water over there. What depicts that? Highway level.
Yeah, I see what you're referring to.
Just curious.
Are we sure there's no water there?
No, it's buildings.
What's that?
It's buildings, the way.
Okay.
They're all silver?
Well,
The light.
the light is shining on it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Yes, in the back.
That original building at 116 Center Street, is that the building that burned down? Or where is that building?
I don't know the answer to that. But I can try to find out and send an email to through the Sandbar Storytelling Group. Zach.
If you were, like if some other big bank were to come and try to buy up on Merchants Bank, how much do you think they would be willing to pay?
That is a great question. How about I say not enough? No, it's a great question, Zach. So today, our stock is quasi-publicly traded. We are not SEC registered, nor are we traded or listed on one of the big market exchanges, NASDAQ, New York Stock Exchange. We are traded on a platform referred to as OTC, which is over the counter. You can place a buy order for Merchants Bank with any one of your financial, with MFGI stock. It's Merchants Financial Group. MFGI is the symbol. If you place a buy order with your financial advisor, it will get filled. It might take some time for it to fill, but it will get filled. Our share price today, and this gets back to the answer to your question, Zach. The share price today on the OTC market was just a little over $40 per share. With the number of shares outstanding, our market capitalization is approximately $310 million. Somebody with the capacity to pay merchants, for us to surrender our source of provincial pride and independence, it's probably north of $450 million. Mary, did you have a question?
So, like, say Wells Fargo. That's not a community bank because.
So I would say in many ways Wells Fargo would suggest they're a community bank. Most banks like to suggest they're a community bank. The big international banks have a significant role to play in the economic engine in the United States. But for a bank the size of Wells Fargo to grow, and typically asset growth comes in the form of loans, for them to grow at their size, their focus is going to be on extremely large credit facilities, not the type of businesses, family-owned businesses that populate the main streets in most of the communities that we have the privilege to serve. There are probably a lot of community bankers who would suggest that we have grown large as a community bank, but in the grand scheme of community banking, we do have size and scale, but we're still relatively small, mid-sized in the big picture scheme of things. But I would say that for the markets they serve, and most of them are larger urban centers, they do try to replicate, some of the attributes and culture and commitment of a community banking organization the way we do here in Winona.
Can you repeat your ticker symbol?
MFGI.
Thank you.
You bet. We'd love to welcome you as an owner. Any other questions? Oh boy. So this is my executive assistant, Becky TJ, who brought her remarkable 2 young sons with her. She's going to challenge me. She's largely responsible for the presentation, as are my 2 marketing associates, Haley and Soren back there. What question can I answer?
Okay, so I've got 2 questions.
Okay.
What makes you jump out of bed every morning and say, I can't wait to get to work?
I better get to the office and bring my lovely assistant a cup of coffee. How's that?
That's a good answer.
I will say, again, banking at times gets a bad rap. Capitalism, and rightfully so at times, gets a bad rap. But the profession of community banking is honorable, extremely rewarding, and fulfilling. Because when you can help a young family buy their first home, a young entrepreneur with a vision for a new business, fund their economic dream, doing that the right way, that's very rewarding. That's what gets me out of bed. Our sense of purpose in our mission is what continues to inspire me. And unfortunately, you're stuck with me for a little while yet. What's your second question?
Of all of the activities and community projects that we are involved in, what's your favorite?
10 Days of Giving here in Winona. So when I started in 1989, again, Merchants was very well known and respected for its community commitments and community leadership. It's a big part of our brand, it always has been. But one of the things that I was charged with was trying to identify a signature community service project that we could own and grow and develop. And so we partnered that very first year that I was part of the Merchants team with Winona Volunteer Services. John Brow was the executive director at the time. Wonderful human being, selfless in his commitment to Winona Volunteer Services mission. Started out as just kind of a small little food collection project that today is really a community-wide, high-impact activity that Winona Volunteer Services comes to rely on, and all of the patrons of Winona Volunteer Services who are challenged with food stability benefit from the great work that they do. And literally, it's become a community-wide event with dozens of business partners involvement of kids in all of our local schools, that would be the one.
Just something briefly, but because it's late and it's probably a pretty big question, but credit unions, how did they come into the mix?
Yeah, so we could talk all day. We could talk a long time. So credit unions, again, they have their purpose. Their mission is very similar to that of a community bank. In some ways, I look at the start of Merchants as a collective. It was a collective of business leaders in the community. Community banking at its core is taking deposits, protecting those deposits, redeploying those for good, access to capital to allow communities to thrive and grow. The credit union model has really been very similar, largely focused on consumer, small groups of consumers. The biggest difference is credit unions are nonprofit. They pay no income taxes. They have tax advantages with real estate and business reimbursement. So there's about a 30% tax impact difference. We're a for-profit company. Our shareholders expect and deserve a return on the investment of their capital. But the biggest difference, I think there's mission synergy between a community bank and a credit union. Credit unions historically have been more consumer focused. Community banks, consumer and commercial focused. And then there's the nonprofit tax advantage component that we would argue creates unfair competition. But it's part of the landscape. And they have their role to play as well and their purpose. All right, there's lots of donuts. Thank you so much. Have a great evening.
Thank you. Go get donuts, eat donuts, and we'll see you August 13th for the Bluff Country Co-op. Thanks again for coming.
Thanks, John.